If your baby's having short naps, just one sleep cycle or less, it's not because they can't connect sleep cycles or because they haven't learned how. Let me explain what's actually going on in these situations and when a longer nap might be possible. There's this really common belief out there that babies need to be taught to connect sleep cycles, but babies are actually born knowing how to transition from one sleep cycle to the next. Think about it. If they couldn't do it, they'd wake every 30 to 60 minutes all day and all night long. But they don't. Even newborns often sleep for 2 or 3 hour stretches at night. And then as babies get older, those stretches usually get longer. But for naps, it's really common for babies to just have one sleep cycle. And if that's what your baby's doing, there are 3 likely reasons why. The first is that they just don't need that much sleep during the day. Not every baby needs long naps. A lot don't. Research shows there's a huge range in terms of how much daytime sleep babies have. Babies under the age of 6 months have anywhere from about an hour all the way up to 5 hours of total nap time per day, with the average being about 3 hours. So if your baby doesn't need a lot of nap time, and especially if they're having multiple naps, that sleep will often be spread across several shorter naps, meaning they might only have one sleep cycle at a time. For example, if they needed just over 2 hours of total nap time, they might just be having 3, 40, 45-minute naps. The second possibility is that they weren't tired enough when they fell asleep to need a longer nap. They didn't have enough sleep pressure for more than one sleep cycle. This is something I often see when families are following wake window recommendations or some kind of nap schedule. The problem with wake windows is that they're not evidence-based and they don't reflect the very wide variation in sleep needs and sleep patterns that we see in real life. So sometimes they can lead parents to settle their baby quite early when they're not that tired. And the same thing happens when parents are worried about overtiredness, which isn't the thing, by the way. I can do a separate video on that. Trying to avoid overtiredness can sometimes mean you settle your baby too soon. So sometimes if a baby is capable of staying awake longer, but they're settled too soon, they may only sleep for one sleep cycle because they haven't built enough sleep pressure to sleep for any longer. In those situations, waiting longer to settle baby, sometimes quite a bit longer, may mean they build up enough sleep pressure to be able to sleep for longer, to sleep for more than one sleep cycle. And then finally, some babies may wake at the end of a sleep cycle if they're in pain or discomfort, or they're hungry, or if they have a strong need to sleep close to you and they can't sense you when they stir. So if your baby's only napping for one sleep cycle at a time, it's usually not a sign that there's anything wrong. For many babies, it's just their norm and there's nothing you need to change. And if it is their norm, trying to get them to nap more than they naturally need can sometimes lead to increased night waking, which you definitely want to avoid.